Next, 70% of people in London expect grandparents to step in if parents are no longer able to care for their child, according to new research by the charity Mentor. It says domestic violence is the top cause of family breakdown, followed by alcohol abuse and abandonment. Michael O'Toole is the chief executive of the organisation and joins me now. Thank you for coming in at this lunchtime. Your research coincides with the marking of Kinship Care Week. Just give us an idea of why it's so important to recognise the contribution of carers.
Well, kinship carers are often unrecognised and they tend to go under the radar. Within London alone, there are in the region of 34,000 children being brought up by kinship carers at the moment, and nationally that's 250,000. Very often those kinship carers come about through totally informal arrangements, so they're off the radar in terms of any local services or support or financial support. And it's really important to raise awareness of the incredible work that kinship carers do in providing a stable, loving and healthy home for the children that they're caring for.
You mentioned it often goes off the radar or under the radar, but in fact there is a wealth of resources available to people that find themselves in these situations, aren't there?
Well, there are resources, but sometimes it's difficult to find where to go. And in terms of information and advice, there are places for kinship carers to go. In terms of the more practical support around financial help or understanding legal position as a kinship carer or entitlement to benefits, tax credits, it's much more complex and difficult for kinship families to get proper advice.
Now, your research, as I mentioned in my introduction, suggests that grandparents are, for many people, the people that they would like to see look after their children. But are they necessarily best placed to do that? Perhaps if you have elderly grandparents and with some very young children, they may not be suitable to look after young children and indeed meet their needs.
Well, as you say, our Mentor research showed that 70% of people across London felt that if the parent was unable to look after a child, the best person would be a grandparent. And they're what we call kinship carers. Not always grandparents, it could be an older sibling or an uncle or an aunt. And we would say that generally they are an excellent person to look after those children. They are part of the extended family, they know the children, they can provide that safe and secure family. But there are some big challenges, as you say, and you can imagine the circumstances of particularly grandparents who may be retired, no longer have an income. Can they financially manage caring for children? Is their house big enough? Do they have the space for those children to move in? What about if the children need to move schools? How do they go about doing that? So there's lots of practical challenges that those grandparents could face in taking on those responsibilities.
So explain to us how organisations like yours steps in and assists with that process.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, finding about information and advice and about entitlements is really important. So we provide information, we produce a kinship care guide, both in Scotland and in partnership with another charity in England. But we also do some more practical hands-on work. We bring kinship carers together to share their experiences and to support each other. We provide tailored support and training for those kinship carers so that they're able to provide that secure, stable family for those children who need that, having often gone through quite traumatic circumstances to find themselves in kinship care.
And finally, if people do want to find out more about your organisation or indeed would like some more advice, where can they go?
We've pulled together a range of sources of advice. There's a helpline, there's information, etc. Put that onto our website, which is mentoruk.org.uk. If people go there, they can find lots of information and advice to help them.
Michael O'Toole, thank you very much for coming in this lunchtime.
Thank you.
You're watching London.